Welcome back to Howdy Arabia. A few days ago, 4 inspiring Jordanian women launched the Kyan Foundation, a fascinating project based here in Amman that promotes a global movement towards conscious living. I got to sit with 3 of them, Yassi and Noor, Asem and Zein Nimri, and we dove into the purpose of the project, how we can benefit, and how it all started.
We went, the 3 of us, to Wadi Ram on a retreat.
October.
And we've all shared this passion for self-development and inquiry, the whys and the hows and understanding and peeling all those layers throughout our individual lives and then us coming together. And I think it's just become a culmination of our shared vision and our shared dream to bring a platform together where we can share what we've learned, develop our own philosophy of how we feel we've come to realizing what we've realized, and share it with a community who might be interested in jumping in.
Even the name, Kyan, it was really everything came up to be organic, when we were in your salon, and we were playing with Talal, her youngest, and someone asked what's essence. And then Yasmine's son is called Kyan.
So's mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sah, Kyan. And then we started talking about essence, what it means. And then I said Kyan is essence in Arabic. He was like, oh my God, this is the project, Kyan. And then everything was organic, And the way we started off planning and everything, I think it was meant to be.
Cool. So what do you think it is going to do for the community in terms of fulfilling a need from that perspective, from plugging in, solving a problem, let's say?
I don't think we want to problem solve. I think it's more bringing awareness. So it's awareness to emotional intelligence, awareness to self. I don't think we want to say that you have a problem that we're going to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because that's not... It's just becoming aware of yourself, of the way you live life, and just bringing in a new philosophy of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and a different consciousness.
Yeah.
Because we're not fixing you, or we're not fixing anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's just helping people become more aware, and that maybe things can be done a little differently.
Yeah, it's a great question actually, because our approach is very much based also on positive psychology, where we don't, as Yassi said, we don't identify a problem. It's more about peak experiences and considering every individual as naturally resourceful and whole. So whether you're looking for solutions or how to improve or identify your highest possible potential, you're always coming from a space where you are complete. It's not the reverse. So we're applying concepts of appreciative inquiry or elements of positive psychology, whereby now the studies are, the concept basically is, instead of studying when we're at our lowest point or where there was mental disease, let's put it that way, we're actually identifying when are we at our best, and can we maximize that, and can we learn skills from that and create habits from it, whereby we change behavior and we change mindsets and a whole world view. So that's a bit more our approach, where it's individual focused and very much based also on research. We're very passionate about neuroscience and how we've been learning about how you can rewire your brain, and what you do on a daily basis can really fabricate your tomorrow and take responsibility for that.
Mm-hmm. It's a moment-to-moment awareness where you need to be, aware of what you're doing at the moment. So that requires a lot of presence. It just doesn't come to you. You need to work for it. You need to practice, discipline, and that's what we were going to offer at a micro level.
Okay.
At Kyan, with meditation, with coaching, with nutrition.
Yes.
Education, parenting.
I want to know about your backgrounds
Mm-hmm.
before we dig deeper into the project.
In terms of background, it's funny. We study one thing and we end up doing something completely different. So I studied political communication and later on did my master's in positive leadership and strategy. And I believe that I finally found my purpose and passion, which was always there. But because of my conditioning, which is the reason why we've established Kyan right now, I just fell into the general flow of what I'm expected to do instead of really voicing my passion, which was always, since I was a child, self-development. I mean, I used to swallow all of Yasmine's books. She's the one who really introduced and opened from a very young age. It was always about the self. It was always about self-discovery. It was always about why are we the way we are and how can we become better, and all these questions that I've always been hungry for. And around me, I lacked those answers, nor in my family, nor in the educational system. So I was just like floating around. So I did my studies. My master's was resonating with me with what I wanted to do. And that was extremely beneficial. And then I've spent, all these years since 2010, when I became a coach and then worked in leadership and designing workshops for a firm in the UK, up until now on developing the self in different avenues, different ways, primarily on myself and how to reshape my story, understand my narrative and how I am creating my reality. And that's taken a lot of courage and having to look at myself in the mirror, because it's so easy to blame external circumstances on where I find myself today. But finding that ability to take responsibility for the life I've created, whether it's turned out in a way that I'm aligned with or I'm not, or I feel positive about it or not, is key to what it is. So I feel all the past experiences, work, and journeys that I've experienced, I'm a course junkie, basically. There's always something online, or we're all similar, you know. We're always like, whether it's videos, it's
books,
online classes, we tease each other about all the certificates we have. So I mean, the list is long, and I think primarily it's my personal journey and seeing my own transformation that ignites the eagerness to be able to share it with others. And it's taken me time on a personal level to kind of step out and say, okay, this has been my learnings, because sometimes it's like, well, it's your journey. What about it that is so unique for you to be able to share? But what I realize is it just doesn't need to be unique. It's a story. Someone might benefit from it and get some sort of inspiration. Others might not. And I do feel so blessed that we're all together. We have my sister Sarah, who lives in Madrid, missing here in the pod, to share her experience as well. So the birth of Kyan is, for me, the building of all these years. Wow. I would tell you it's since I've been a child. That's how far and deep it is for me.
That's amazing. You described learning about yourself.
Yes.
Was that a turning point? For me, it was a turning point when I realized that, oh my God, I have to look inwards finally 100%. And be conscious. I think in my 20s, I didn't know. I was just going about life, grabbing things, whether it's even education was just like a grab. Like, okay, intellectual stimulation, learning tricks, learning techniques. But it was never about stopping and thinking and being conscious and being mindful.
And that
is to do with it.
What you're saying right now, that is the core of what we want to bring awareness to. Is we are so deeply conditioned through parenting, through society, through education, that we're not given the opportunity or the skills to stop, reflect, and identify what are my desires? What is it that I really like? Because from such a young age, we're told how we should be, how we should respond, how we need to show up. And so the layers are one on top of the other. And peeling that off is I'm still peeling it
Yeah.
off. It's a process. There's always something there.
Yeah, exactly. As Noor said, we study something and then we want to become something else. That's usually the case. So I was forced to study finance.
Like me. Not forced, but
No, I was
Encouraged.
Yeah.
Encouraged.
Yeah, pushed.
Yeah.
Powerfully.
Powerfully
Wow.
encouraged.
Exactly.
That's I never thought of that.
And my dad
about you.
always had this dream of me doing some kind of finance, but whatever. And then I did my master's in management.
Also.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I worked in PR. I did this whole thing, but I was miserable. I was always into helping people, always into, I'm a Cancerian, so I'm sensitive. I'm very into, like, how are you feeling? What is it that you want, internally? Then I worked with the UN for like 5 years. And then I realized that I love to help people, but not in context of war and sadness. Nutrition has always been my passion. I've always been a runner, always been into sports, basketball team. So fitness and health were always my thing. But I think how we're told to eat or how we're told to be in terms of what food you should be eating and you should not be eating is very dogmatic, and that has taken us away from what we feel we need, So I studied nutrition. I started off as a sports nutritionist because I thought I'm into sports, so I should be doing sports nutrition. And I didn't like it just because there's a lot of rules, you need to be at that 5% and you need to be eating that many grams of protein, and there's a lot of calculations in that, and that's just not organic at all. That doesn't allow you to know what to eat. And I've been seeing it with my clients, harami, they follow these Instagram people who tell you if you weigh whatever you weigh, and you want to build muscle, you need to eat X amount of protein. Well, it works for bodybuilders, but not for everyone. So naturally, when I started coaching my clients, I could not take out the emotional aspect and where they are at in life, If someone was going through a trauma or loss or just a rough patch, they cannot be, for example, intermittent fasting, for example, But that's what I think functional nutrition, functional medicine nutrition has brought to my practice. It basically gave me science, research to validate what I've been naturally practicing with my clients, and it opened so much to me with the books and the learnings and the studies that I've taken. It takes into account positive psychology, mindfulness and meditation and purpose and self-love and all of that. So there's a lot of things that Kyan as a concept has that functional nutrition is just naturally offers. For example, it takes into account your health, how your gut is functioning, how good it is, how strong it is, based on preconception, and then how you were born, and then whether you were breastfed or not, natural birth or cesarean. And then it takes into account all the trauma and all the change, even if you change countries. It takes into account all these things. So when you do the map, right, when you do a session with a functional medicine practitioner, which Noor has done in our workshop, you start to write, oh wow, I lost my aunt at age whatever, and then, oh wow, we had to move suddenly to Canada at age X. When you write all these things down, then you see the trajectory of what happened after. You start to realize, oh wow, I got sick a year after that, but nobody ever told me that it's not your fault, it's you felt this way or you went through that experience, So that's the beauty of functional medicine, is that you just can't take one element. Personalized nutrition is just a big chunk of it, but it's not the only thing, You can be eating the best diet in the world, but if you're constantly, eating what you're supposed to eat, quote unquote, or, eating foods that you're intolerant to or allergic to, that takes a lot of investigation and makes you to be our partner. Like a client needs to be my partner.
How much of it, of the investigation, is trial and error? And how much of it is like, let me look at my past and map it out?
I mean, on a nutritional level, the elimination diet is where we do the trial and error, which I think is the best way to determine your allergens or your things that you're intolerant to, because the tests that you do are I can go on and on about it. Yesterday, I actually watched an episode on Gaia. Tom O'Brien was saying how when you do a blood test and you see how you get a lot of I'm intolerant to tomatoes, I'm intolerant to onions, I'm intolerant, but these are the things that I eat the most. That's because your immune system is not functioning well. But anyway, that's a different topic. But trial and error is definitely with the elimination diet, and on a specific nutritional aspect, that's where the client and the nutritionist become partners.
And I think if I can add, that's why the passion to work together comes from. We've noticed how everything is so separated and labeled because we have the need to understand things in a very boxed manner. However, sharing our journey together, we're like, wait a minute, this can't be separated. Approaching the well-being of an individual holistically, this is what we're all about. So nutrition is an integral part of you optimizing your individuality when it comes to potential, whether it's behavioral, emotional, but nutrition plays a key role in the way you're feeling and showing up as well. That's where our synergy with the foundation.
And also eating habits and with parenting. I mean,
yes.
You all have children. That on its own is a major. I mean, I'm the nutritionist and I suffer with my clients. I don't know how you guys under the same roof. I mean, I'm sure it's not easy, but that's where, you know, there's a lot of little micro details that we need to include. But the problem is we're kind of traumatized from that because of the society. If you're a little bit overweight, if you're underweight, you're like wanting to diet all the time. So we kind of project that on our children, and we don't know how to use the language where we give them the option to eat the broccoli, but we need to explain to them that the broccoli is good for you, and maybe we try to choose between the dessert every now and then, you know what I mean? So there's also a strategy to coach the parents to be able to not create this fear around
condition.
Food. Exactly, you know, and then I see it with the clients. It's really heartbreaking when it's a 9-year-old and they don't know why they're so addicted. It's just over their power, but they have classic metabolic syndrome and their hormones are just not functioning well at 9 years old.
Yeah. Do you think that us as adults, because we've been told and there is evidence for like smoking is definitely a no-no, and we've been seeing for the last couple of decades public service announcements, even on the pack of cigarettes itself, there's scare tactics, and this is really bad. It's not like a marshmallow where it's, you know, it's not great for you, but it's not deadly yet. It's not like as bad as cigarettes. Kind of cigarettes have been placed on another category, and there's other things that are in that category. Do you think that, and from a nutrition perspective, the habits of food and how our kids and us, we look at food, what we put in our bodies, should we start taking the approach of categorizing? For example, cigarettes are bad, brushing your teeth is a must. Khalas, they're not debatable issues.
Yeah, non-negotiables.
They're non-negotiables.
Exactly.
Brushing your teeth in the morning for a child is not a negotiable thing. You know, yes, they might skip it, but it's a thing that they have to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but then when certain foods, and I keep imagining this idea of, which goes against what you said about like those protocols that you like with the sports nutrition, there's like rules and percentages and ratios, and this is the ratio and this is the protein, and which is kind of like bullshit because it's not holistic, and no two people are the same. So how can you apply the same rule?
It's absorption as well.
Yeah,
like
and absorption.
You might be eating 100 grams of protein.
So many
you're
things.
not making use of it.
Yeah. Even life events, like you said, affect you. But the smoking is bad mantra, it's strict and in your face. It's not negotiable. Should children be placed on a broccoli is good mantra at age 11, let's say, you know what, Saf Rabi', we're all starting this now new thing where you can only have marshmallows on occasion.
I'm gonna answer that.
And broccoli is, or like the greens, the daily greens are like khalas. It's like brushing your teeth. It's no longer negotiable.
So I'm gonna answer that from a habitual, and then we'll do the nutrition if you want. But yesterday I was at my friend's house. They have children that are obsessed with food. They just love food because they're fit, and their father is on their case with like pull-ups, and they're very fit, but they just love food. So his youngest was like, Mom, can I have popcorn and chips? The mom went, what's wrong with you? You just ate. And then I asked him, are you hungry or bored? He was on his iPad, I swear. He's 5, 6, I think 5. He would never take his eyes off of his iPad. And then he looked at me, he's like, what do you mean? I'm hungry. I'm like, but how does that feel like? It's like, it feels like hungry. I'm like, but do you feel like your stomach is empty and you need to eat? Or it'll be nice to have a snack right now? He said, maybe both. I said, no, I think it's more of the latter. I think you just want to have a snack because you just ate. Hunger is a feeling where you want fuel. He just sat in his corner just thinking. And then he came to me after an hour. He's like, but I'm hungry right now. I'm like, yeah, maybe now you're a bit hungry because you played sports, but an hour ago, I don't think you were hungry. So basically making them aware of the cue. What is hunger? Because sometimes... food is comfort. It's home. It's mom.
And my eldest tells me, I eat when I'm bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haram.
Yeah.
And it just came out now in the Corona time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quarantine, because my boys are very active. They're always doing sports. And this time that it stopped, he's like, I eat when I'm bored, Mama.
Yeah, it's fun to eat. We all agree on
pleasure.
that.
And I think the ultimate messaging here is to go back to your cigarette example. It is not about, again, imposing black or white or that type of approach. It is really about empowering the individual from a young age to feel that they know how to make decisions on their own. And I know my background and my upbringing was where I was told what to do constantly, to the point where I was suddenly in college and I'm like,
nobody's telling me what to do.
Wait a minute. There's this sense of being lost. Like, what do I like, kind of a thing. So the ultimate messaging, if we were to zoom out and take a bird's eye view perspective on this, it's not about us again imposing fear factors or this is the way it is or that is the way it is. It comes from a place of really offering knowledge, understanding, communication, conversation, dialogue, which takes a lot of time. And patience and repetition when it comes to parenting. However, there is no other way to what it is that we're hoping, the movement we're trying to trigger and tickle people with, like to come out and join this worldview, where my 13-year-old daughter, even till today, comes and asks permission if she can have, this or that, and I need to keep on encouraging her to say, it is your body. Are you hungry now? Are you not hungry now? You need to, so you need to coach them through that. And a coaching relationship with your children as a parenting skill is crucial to really transforming your relationship with your children where there's a balance of power. Okay, we are the parents, we are the caregivers. Our responsibility is one of love and safety. It's not a one of imposing fear or dictatorship or being this authoritarian, image in front of our children, which, sharing with my family and friends, all of us have experienced more the, you just follow the rules and you do as you're told, and that's that. So if we zoom out, that is more the messaging in terms of that. So as you want to empower, irrelevant of their age, they can be just crawling, but in every moment they're making a decision, and it's encouraging that, so that there's no codependency and there's a sense of strength and individuality with guidance from us as parents.
Yeah, exactly. And nowadays I see it's impossible to go through life without that equipment, being equipped to look inwards and ask yourself for the answers.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's daily work.
Yes.
Because you need to find that balance. Sometimes you're not in the mood. Sometimes you're tired. So to be able to train yourself to communicate that way with your child, with your partner, with whoever it is,
with life
is not easy. So you have to do the work.
Have you been on a journey of self-discovery
Yes,
as a
yes,
parent?
we all
What's-
have. I mean, I think for me, I think my greatest teachers have been my kids, because I went into, when I was younger, I was always into, metaphysics. I was reading a lot, but I never applied it then. I became a parent, and through parenting, I became introduced to emotional intelligence, mindfulness, bringing mindfulness into the schools. And I volunteered a lot in schools and trying to help bringing the whole idea of mindfulness into being part of the school curriculum. For me, it's been something I have done for me and my family and my kids. And I think Noor is kind of nudging me into taking it a step further. And so when we started talking about this and developing it, I said, okay, let's do it and let's see where it takes us.
And you mentioned areas of interest that you were into when you were younger.
It was always, the who are
thanks to
you
her that
and
she
the I am and who am I and what am I, all this all these things that also I read about, but then life took me on a different path, and I think now I'm just going back to it. Did a lot of courses, meditation, self-awareness. Sometimes we still go off track. I go off track every now and then, come back. It's all part of a learning process.
And she always has a new book in
Yeah.
store.
Always.
That's amazing.
She's the one that introduced me to Joe Dispenza. I still remember that day. You're like, get this book. I'm like, sounds too sciencey. And then I travel. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll get it. I'm like, I got obsessed. Joe Dispenza became my spirit animal.
Wow.
Like, I'm
totally for all of us.
Yeah, he's a genius.
yeah, and then you see, that's how it's just it's an organic,
And the more the merrier. I mean, the more people who want to be part of this conversation is so important, because we all have similar stories. I promise you, we bring a stranger here and we're going to have so many similarities in our upbringing, in our experiences, in our whys and hows, and that sense of being lost. Why does it come a point in our lives where we're suddenly like, I'm so unfulfilled? Like, am I happy? What is happiness to me? So it's kind of trying to really bring it at a younger age where we can really target, let's learn. Let's bring those skills. Let's teach our kids. Let's learn ourselves. Let's unlearn everything that we've been taught. And let's be open to learning. And as Yassi highlighted, it's a process. Always. We're in continuous change, and continuous process is what's always there. We never
it takes a lot of honesty also. Like,
it's not easy to look
rawness.
at yourself in the mirror and see
it
all
takes a lot of honesty.
Speaking of Joe Dispenza, he mentioned something where he caught me, like, I felt I was caught red-handed. I was listening to him, and he had said a bunch of amazing, groundbreaking observations about adults and how we discover ourselves. And then he said, on your path to learning, there's a lot of aha moments. It's one thing to listen to an aha moment. Oh my God, that's exactly what I think. And thank God he articulated it in that way. Now I feel more intellectually aware. But when you stop the lecture and you go on about your day, it almost did nothing to your life. It's an aha moment. So what he was talking about is like, we have access to all the information in the world right now. And if you make time for it, that's a nice step forward to listen. But then it's just a bunch of aha moments. It's borderline pleasure to have those intellectual aha moments when you listen to one of his nuggets of wisdom. So I was like, oh man, I do a lot of that. I listen to a lot of amazing
But what you're
people.
highlighting is so important. It's the embodying, right?
The instilling.
Exactly.
How do you carry that aha moment?
That's my
throughout
question
the
for
day?
you.
Inside.
But the prerequisite to that is you need to sit and accept that you are kind of that aha moment. You know what I mean? I mean, you need to accept your flaws. You need to accept the yin and the yang.
But how do you graduate to that? Like, let's say the Kyan Foundation. What kind of practical steps are you guys going to take to graduate, let's say, from being a toolbox where you're, I don't like to use the word curating because it's overused, but like you're literally giving people the tools that they need at that moment and working with them.
I love this question.
But then graduating to because they go home, like therapists, like,
sure. And this question is so important because us three, we've done so many courses and gone through to so many retreats, and you suddenly come back to your daily life and you might be on that high still, and then you find yourself, you're like, wait a minute, I thought I learned this.
Yeah. So I got it.
Why is this in front of me all over again?
Question, yeah.
So it is crucial to understand that in order to target embodying aha moments, it's about behavior. So how does one change behavior? Daily practices. What is it that you're doing on a daily basis that is going to feed not only your mental understanding of a concept, but how are you feeling it in your body?
Are you being it? You need to start being it. And some days you can, some days you can't. But you also realize the days you can't, okay, so maybe I need to go a step back and maybe do a longer meditation, shorter meditation. You have to be aware of yourself and what you need at that moment, because every day is not going to be the same.
And every practice is different for every individual. I don't think there's this universal formula. However, there are practices that have been shared extensively on, just things we know. How important sleep is, how important nutrition is, how important time for yourself is. So in that hour of time for myself, exercise, meditation, journaling, gratitude, all this are little bites that you eventually need to find ways to embody. So as a foundation, we will not only provide the know-how, which, as you said, the information is out there, but that's why coaching plays such an important role, or having a community where you just sit down and share, having a support group, where we sit down and talk about our struggles, because you know what, it feels lonely and it is scary, and there are days that you just don't feel like doing anything. You just want to throw your teddy in the corner and stomp your feet, and that's also okay. So having an attitude of kindness and gentleness primarily with yourself is key to transformation as well, and change. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not like we pop a pill, and it's just not like that. I really wish it was. Sometimes,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
But it really is. And you continuously change, and that is another thing. Even with parenting, we forget. We're so quick to labeling our children. Oh, this one's the active one, that one's the lazy one, the other one is the whatever one. And it's like, why do we do that? Why do we love to box everything in? That's it. This is what you are. End of story. This is what you are. Well, no. I was that maybe yesterday. Let's be open for today that I can be something different.
It's the easy way out to just box. Sorry, I wanted to also mention an example. One of the things that got me and Noor very close is this, what is it, Noor? Is it like a group of entrepreneurs? Yeah, it's a group of entrepreneurs that travel all over the world, and they have retreats, in different countries. And they're just like a hodgepodge of people from all walks of life, all ages, all countries. And then we're thrown in a big compound, and we share experiences about being unsettled, or just, trying to figure out what's next, or maybe taking a sabbatical or what have you. And I've been on a few of those. Noor actually was the one who told me about them. And I went to the first one in Bali, and I remember I came back to Amman. I was like, wow, I am so relieved that I always felt that we're in Jordan, or we in the Middle East are, lost, and we don't know what to do, and we're always thinking that we're kind of unlucky because we see what the West has and what have you. But no, everyone's lost, and everyone's looking for answers, and everyone's trying to understand how to go about life. But see, the solution is, I would say it's one theme that has different roots, but the theme is awareness and education and mindfulness and all that.
So you're saying, let's say a refugee family, an impoverished refugee family, living in a camp in Jordan, for example, can be more blessed in terms of their satisfaction with life than a family living in the most advanced social society. There is a floor, obviously.
Of course.
There's always a floor where you have to be
external factors play a key role to well-being. I mean, I think once basic needs are met in the sense of safe home, shelter, food,
love.
I mean, your basic needs as a human being are met, then I don't know, I think again it's perspective.
I wanted to say, I mean, it's really perspective, and where, like, really it depends on your definitions of happiness and contentment. And sometimes I envy, there's worker that works in my building. I sometimes look at him like, oh wow, you're so simple and happy, and he is really genuinely, you can tell from his eyes, he has nothing, but he's just happy. He's content. Anything makes him happy. These people, I mean, they're satisfied with less,
less material things.
Less they accept, they're more into.
And this is so layered that it's hard to put into words, really. And if one hasn't journeyed through hardship as such, I think it's very hard to relay a authentic, story about it or describe it effectively. But ultimately, it is going back to highlighting how, as human beings, every single one of us are responsible for the overall well-being of the world. And I'm talking very maybe general right now. So let's go to our own homes. We are responsible for what it is that we're creating in our home and for ourselves. And we need to own that responsibility. And not a lot of people are ready to do that. We're very quick on blaming, very quick on pointing fingers. It's because of this or because of that. That's not to take away that external factors can and do influence our well-being and that journey. However, we always have that option. There's always that, even if it's a slither of light for us to redesign. And you hear such beautiful stories as well as devastating ones. However, again, our messaging is one where if we all do our part and we not only focus on the self, but then understand that we're all interconnected and there's this collective wisdom that wants to come through, then let's go there.
Collective.
Let's nurture that. Let's understand it better. And let's redesign. Let's redesign our educational system together. Let's redesign parenting and what that looks like for our children and ourselves. And that's what it is. It's just bringing more harmony, more humanity.
Kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
What would you say that, let's say the plan for 2020, 2021, what can people around you expect from Kyan Foundation when they're seeking this kind of enlightenment and to rewire their habits, to become more conscious? What can they expect from Kyan Foundation going forward?
We're starting with workshops, meditation sessions, and maybe just educating educating people, creating awareness of this
community.
Is it similar? Can you do something similar to what you just mentioned that you went to?
Like a Beyond Settled. We looked into it.
We were actually forming a proposal, and then Corona hit. So.
I mean, the sense of community and the sharing aspect and bringing awareness is key. And again, having a network of individuals who are passionate about this and really want to join the change and add a bit of perspective, and everybody has a story to share, which is fascinating and can teach us further. In terms of Kyan, I think again, we're in a very early stages, and given what has happened this year, you know, we've kind of just kept the offices for us in terms of working as a space for us to just go do our own work. And we have a few projects, a few partnerships that hopefully will come to life, and we will share once they're, you know, ready to be launched. And we also want to have fun with it. I mean, this is definitely deep work. It's definitely at times hard, but bringing lightness to all this is important.
Yeah.
So we want to have fun with it.
Learn from the experience.
Yes, learn from each other
as well, because
yeah.
we're still learning.
I think that's so important. Just keep on reminding ourselves that we know nothing. We're always the students of life. And I think that's beautiful. And being able to share it is beautiful. And encouraging one another. And I think that's why our friendships that we've had and still have is so nurturing, is because we also encourage each other to just, let's rise up. You know, yesterday we were this. What can we do different and better today?
Yeah, because our language is familiar to each other. We want people to become more familiar with that type of language. Like, we watch a lot of Gaia TV, is like an encyclopedia for consciousness and mindfulness and nutrition. Also, the message behind Gaia is that just look inwards, you know. It's a choice. It's a constant choice to be whatever you want to be.
Would you consider creating content for consumption for later on?
Yeah, we're looking into writing articles and sharing, you know, our perspective on things, really highlighting the philosophy that we've kind of put together on how we believe when we're able to change certain things of the human experience, hopefully that can unlock and open to redesign, co-create together, you know, a more holistic approach. And what we've all just experienced, I think, highlights the importance of really nurturing the self and how to teach this, not only as adults, but for our families and our children, the importance of self-awareness, self-regulation, and managing emotions, which we just are so quick to erase.
Yeah.
So don't cry. Why are you crying? Stop crying.
Yeah.
You know, I see that a lot in my sessions. It's funny how the world works, because I've been recently getting a lot of people who have been developing eating disorders / disordered eating, and they're really in a cloud where they don't know why. They're like, why am I doing this? And then, you know, when I start working with them and I say, you don't really need a nutritionist. It's not a diet that you want. You need to ask yourself, why are you purging, or why are you overeating? What's going on? Why are you over dieting? And so much comes out, so much. And they think I just gave them a key to life, but I kind of just, you know, just push them to that angle. What would we do with each other?
Yeah,
you know,
you just made them aware of something else.
Yeah,
and that's
but
how
they weren't looking into.
Exactly. And then what Kyan has all these elements. So I'm a meditation teacher by certificate. I don't sit like cross-legged and give classes, but I give them meditations as part of the session. But we need a coach. I mean, I can't do it all. And that's what Kyan has all these elements where I can refer to a coach or a mindfulness coach. There's all these chunks of work that is kind of offered under the umbrella of this foundation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any proposals for kids and changing the way that parents and schools primarily deal with kids and empower children to be more conscious and mindful? Are you impressed with any current school programs, for example, that are now institutionalized? I'm not talking about the one-off, we're bringing in someone for mindfulness.
Right.
I'm talking about institutional
The ones that
methods.
stand out the most are in Australia. They're described as positive schools, where they implement the pillars of positive psychology within the school culture. And those incorporate a holistic approach to education, where academia is definitely part of the development and the journey. However, it's more so student-centric. So our vision and intention is to develop ways on how can we transform schools to become more student-centric, meaning more focused on their character strengths, behavior aspects.
But it comes full circle because you can't only just put the schools. It has to be the schools, parents have to be involved, because if you learn one thing at school and then you come back home and it doesn't support what the school is teaching you. So it's school, parents, teachers. Everyone has to be on board.
And the huge dream is maybe eventually a school.
Yeah.
So
Someday,
it needs
maybe.
everyone needs to participate. It can't be just the school.
Yeah, definitely.
And it has to be everyone in the school. It's not just the teachers, the principal. No, it's from the gardener, the janitor. Everyone has to embody, the bus driver. Everyone has to embody it to make it real.
And we have a few schools here who are already very on board, and we've been collaborating with, and they've transformed.
And you've done a lot of mindfulness.
You've done Mind Up.
We've worked locally with many schools on mindfulness, on how to introduce it into, the teachers have been trained, parents have been trained, but again, it's been a
Baby steps.
Ad hoc, like a random.
and again, I go back to saying that we need, and that's why again we're back to the foundation. We're like, no, we need something that can create continuity, that is sustainable, and a point of reference when it comes to establishing these projects, and how can we look at it long term. So we're very keen on, now we're developing ways of measuring impact, because we think this is very important. How can we make our work measurable when it comes to that, and evidence-based? Because it is necessary. We can't deny that we need tangible results. And it's very early stages for us. We're very excited and super happy that you've hosted us to have the opportunity to share what it is that we're doing and the intention. And we're so open, to collaborating with whoever has an idea, a concept of joining this movement of conscious living. That's what we hope to bring to life.
It's funny when I think of collaboration, and I bring it back to what you mentioned at the beginning about reflecting inwards. I think about how in my 20s I was not conscious and not mindful, and more obsessed with the intellectual aspect of life. I was not spiritual at all. I was anti-spiritual. I was actually a militant atheist in my 20s. I had rejected the dogma of religion in my teens. It was just didn't make sense to me. The evidence wasn't great to show this path leads to a better life. And I look at the world, I'm like, what evidence? Religion doesn't. I don't see evidence for religion being positive. Back in my teens. So in my 20s, I threw it all away in the name of intellectual inquiry. And I became more spiritually void and more intellectually hungry. And yet I realize now, looking back, that I had no time to just stop and meditate and look inside. I was just always, like I said, I was just always grabbing things. And then bringing it back to us here living in Jordan, religion is a large part of most of our community's upbringing. And authority and a way of life almost. I mean, Islam specifically is, a way of life. You can follow it strictly if you like, or loosely. It is at the end of the day protocol. Meditate 5 times a day in a specific way. Easy instructions. Here's the list of how to do it, and it works for a lot of people. I started praying, although I am still an atheist. I started praying Muslim prayer 2 years ago. After Tony Robbins' experiences, I would pray in the office with my staff, because they pray at Jama'ah. And I was like, this is an amazing opportunity to put the pen down from my busy day and do those 6 minutes of quiet,
beautiful,
meditation. And it worked for me. And like you said, it doesn't have to be the strict protocols. And I don't recite the dua and all the stuff that you need to recite. I do my own thing. I do gratefulness meditation while I'm in the group. And I started thinking about, wow, there are the benefits of those wake up at Fajr and do the Salah. That's actually like the mantra, the 5 a.m. club mantra. It's already in most religions anyway. And you think of how there's been 2,000 religions out there, and there's just a handful that are still surviving today. And it's because of those kind of strict rules about how to be. They work. They're one size fits all.
Right.
But that brings me to ask you guys, and you're obviously holistic and open to all collaborations. Spirituality within a organized religion can be very beneficial, obviously. I'm
Of
sure you
course.
guys do you have any thoughts about that? Or maybe on your own journeys growing up? Because we all were born in a religion. I mean, being born in the Middle East.
Isn't that
you know?
fascinating? But that in
That on its
itself
own.
is fascinating. How we're born into already a practice that we're expected to embrace fully, a family that we're supposed to embrace fully. And again, for me at least, is about going back to the humanity. Irrelevant of what you choose to practice, irrelevant of how you show up. It's nurturing the self.
In any way.
Everything else, for me particularly, comes secondary. It's respected, it's embraced, it's whatever resonates with you as an individual. And it's funny how you described your journey of, you feel you wasted. You didn't waste anything. You just weren't ready.
Exactly.
It
That was your journey,
it wasn't
yeah.
a waste. Because unless you hadn't journeyed through that, maybe you wouldn't see this as a gift,
That's true.
And again, we need to bring that narrative of kindness to ourselves because we're so hard and critical. So for me, I think that's what I always go back to. It's really for me about humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing, guys. I'm so excited
Thank
about
you.
your project.
Thanks.
And like I said, we as adults, as parents, as entrepreneurs, as humans, we need all the resources we can get.
Yes. Any
Right.
ideas you have, throw them our way as well.
Yes,
you know?
I'm so
open.
excited.
Things
Yeah.
Did you have any epiphanies during lockdown or any integrations that you're able to do? Especially here, you're not living with a
I'm
household
on my
of
own.
little monkeys.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping for a cat soon. But yeah.
But I think it taught me, I think my biggest lesson, which I still haven't learned 100%, is the surrender. Surrender to...
External, the
External.
uncontrollable.
Yes.
I think
I'm still learning it.
Yeah.
I'm still on the path. I'm okay with it sometimes. I'm not okay with it other times. But I think that's what I need to work on.
because
right
there's a duality that exists where we believe we control our lives. And
Yeah.
then again, practice and whatever daily practices of creation, let's say, if you believe in that I create my tomorrow. But then within all that, we really don't control anything.
Exactly.
Only how we respond to every moment.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
it.
Yes, respond.
Your attitude to whatever shows up moment by
Yeah.
moment.
You know, in my silent retreat in Peru, I remember I was going to Bernard, my shaman, with anger, and he could see it in me, and I couldn't see it myself. I'm like, but I'm such a puppy. I'm not angry, And then he came to me. He's like, "You're very angry." I'm like, "No, I'm not angry. I'm angry just because of X, Y, Z." He's like, "Listen, you can't keep on pinpointing your anger because of X, Y, Z. Your anger is yours. You own it. You are the one who's angry, regardless of what happens external. If you respond with anger, then you're angry." That put me in such a little corner. I'm like, okay.
But it's hard to own that.
It took me until today. I'm like, but I'm not angry, And then the anger dissolved. Like the anger kind of tamed. It just went away. Just when I said yes to it,
You accepted it.
Yeah, come. It's okay. You're part of me. I no longer reject you.
And surrender, Yassi, is a
Surrender.
huge topic.
And then, but
Oh, yeah.
that's what it is. You just surrender to what is.
But again, you don't surrender and be aloof. There's a lot of
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
you
a
have
lot
to
of-
have your principles
Fine-tuning.
always
Yes,
with
yes.
you and your values.
But yet again, there's that trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
We trust.
This equation is the fine tuning
Yeah.
that we need to
We
get
could
to.
go on for
Oh,
hours.
no,
I
yeah.
feel.
Yeah, we can. And honestly, the fact that we can just sit here for hours and talk about so many themes
Yeah.
within the well-being and the mindfulness sphere, I think maybe you guys should consider having in your space, since it's free.
Yes.
You should consider having a meeting room studio where you can have recorded conversations.
Why not?
Maybe.
Yeah, I'd love to
Yeah.
come and chat like this because it's.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that
That's
could be
a
a good
great
idea.
idea.
I
Yes.
always wanted
Do
to
it.
have
Listen, also
podcasts.
right now it's all about and it'll be a good vehicle for content creation. It's almost like a radio station.
Oh,
It's
very
a
nice.
cool
You know?
idea.
So I would love if you guys set up something like that in your
We
space.
Yeah.
We could post it on both your page and
Yeah, definitely.
the Howdy Arabia
Yeah,
podcast.
definitely.
Thanks for coming on,
Thank
guys.
you
Thank
again.
you so much. Thank you for
You've been
having us.
awesome.
Thanks, Imad.